Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. I'm Jeanie Ryce, your co-host, and we welcome you to the show. Today is Tuesday, December the 30th, 2014. Our calling number is 646-200-4169. Press 1, and that puts you in queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and your questions because that makes this your show. Welcome, Michael. Hello, Michael. Okay.
So I am here, and I appreciate everyone who chooses to join us every day that you do choose to join us. And we're here to understand, to learn, to teach the first century Aramaic process of forgiveness, and to do quite the reverse of what our culture tells us to do, and that is to step out of the blame game, to step out of talking about everybody else as the cause of what's going on inside of us, and to actually grow into adulthood where, surprise of surprises, we actually speak as though we're aware that we're responsible for what's going on inside of it. That
Michael, your voice just faded out.
Have I still faded out?
Nope, there you're good.
The level of responsibility where we recognize that we've chosen everything that we feel. And, sometimes our choices are so far back, and even genetic choices, that we have no remembrance of them. But that doesn't change the fact that we're the ones who set the energy into our fields that cause us to experience everything that we experience. And when we choose to take that level of responsibility, then the whole game of life changes. And what the game of life changes into is human life, which is kind of an interesting thing. If you hold a newborn child, you experience something that is, sadly, rarely experienced on our planet, and that is that awesome active presence of love, that true state of human beingness. And when you recognize that you've given up that state of beingness, and it can be just an old genetic habit, it can be a genetic propensity to give up that state of beingness, then this work that the man named Yeshua invites us into, our work is based on the first century Aramaic language. And it's interesting, the Aramaic language is the root language of at least 6 of the world's major religions, but it's not a religious language. It's a genetic language. It's a psychological language. It's a physics language. And you recognize that, and you go to work, and it means you have to go to work. You have to pick up and use the tool. People hold the belief that all you have to do is say some magic words and everything will be okay. But this man Yeshua is not an easy dude to follow. He's not an easy man to live what he actually spoke. So people tend to make up stories that try to produce the result without actually engaging in the work. And there's a particular passage in the ancient Aramaic, or in the ancient scriptures, where Yeshua says to people, and this is a Greek mistranslation, we'll repeat the Greek mistranslation and tell you what the words really mean. It's an Aramaic idiom, but he says to this whole group of followers, he says, you have to eat my body and drink my blood. And the response of at least half of the group was, this is too hard a saying. Now, the Greek world then went off, the half that went off translated that into, you've got to take communion. You've got to drink wine, and you've got to take communion. But if that's what that meant, you've got to eat my body and drink my blood, if that's what that meant, why at that particular juncture, at that very moment, did half of the crowd say, this is too hard a saying to hear, we're out of here, we're leaving, and half of them disappeared? Well, what's so hard about this taking communion? unless you don't have a clue what the words mean. And in Aramaic, this idea of eat my body and drink my blood is an idiom. And what it means is that you're going to have to live up to the standard that I live up to. You're going to have to integrate and understand everything that I understand about what this goal is that you want to achieve. And that is living as love and living a true human life. So when he says you've got to eat my body and drink my blood, he's saying there's a standard you will be held to if you want to do what I'm capable of doing. Now that is what they were talking about. This is too hard to hear, a statement to hear. We're out of here. We're leaving. We want something easier. We want to just be able to say your name and go, hey, everything's handled, right? No, everything isn't handled. It's not true. And the reason why, if you believe that's true, you have to recognize that it's not true, is because if you believe that's true, that's what you won't do what it takes to actually eat his body and drink his blood, to actually live up to the standard he lived up to. You know, as an example, imagine that I'm a cabinet maker. I make the finest cabinets in the world. And you come to me and you say, Michael, I want to make cabinets like you do. Now, I've been making cabinets for 40 years. I apprenticed with a master, and then I went and got postgraduate work in cabinet making, and then I went and I studied with another master, and now I am the master cabinet maker. And you say to me, Michael, how do I do this? I want to make cabinets like you. In Aramaic, I would say, then you've got to eat my body and drink my blood. And you might say, wait a minute, this is too hard a saying. You mean to tell me I have to go and study with a master, I have to go and get my doctorate in cabinet making, I have to go study with another master, and I have to spend 40 years to learn what you know in order to make cabinets like you? Too hard. I'm going to go over to Walmart, and I'm going to get some pre-made cabinets and put them together and call myself a cabinet maker. And that, in essence, is what was too hard about the work. Is you're going to have to do the work that Yeshua instructs to do, and you're going to have to live up to that standard. You're going to have to understand, integrate, and inculcate every principle that he speaks about if you actually want to live as a human being. Yes, this is a hard saying. You know, when you hear him and he says, you've got to love those who hate you. You've got to do good to those who despitefully use you. Now, in Aramaic, that again is a Greek mistranslation. He's not saying you've got to go babble, 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 oh, you're so sweet, I love you, all over everybody who hates you. Not what it says. What it says in Aramaic is you're going to have to live up to the standard of maintaining your human life in the presence of those people who hate you and despitefully use you. Most people have trouble living up to that standard with their spouses, let alone the people who hate them and despitefully use them. They haven't listened to Yeshua. They haven't done his work. They don't want to go to death. They don't want to forgive from their hearts everything that they blamed on everybody else. They want to hold on to those things. They want to hang out in their pain and their suffering and their blame game and how it's somebody else's fault. And when it comes up in me again today, I just blame you and I puke all over you, and then I'll let you off the hook. I'll forgive you. None of that has anything to do with the teachings of a man named Yeshua. In the ancient Aramaic, if you were in a state of disturbance, a state of upset, a state of pain, a state of sorrow, Yeshua would say, you have to go inside yourself and remove the root of your pain and your sorrow. And by the way, so that you don't have to hunt around for 30 or 40 or 50 years to understand how to do that, I have a tool for you. It's called forgiveness. And what did the Greek world turn forgiveness into? You know, I'll get people here. We're doing this workshop called Why Is This Happening to Me Again on the first century Aramaic forgiveness process, and they'll say things like, oh, well, you know, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that workshop. I've already forgiven my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my children, my parents. I've forgiven my former spouse. I've forgiven my present spouse. I've even forgiven my future spouses. What we know, the person who's still talking about forgiving them, forgiving one's self, is that there's nothing to do with forgiveness in that language. It is not the process of forgiveness to let somebody else off the hook for what's happening inside of you. It is the process of going inside yourself and removing the root of your pain, addressing, accessing, taking responsibility for, feeling the root of your pain, and as you do that, you bring love presence in your mind, and what happens is your pain dissolves. That's forgiveness. A much harder saying to hear than, oh, I'll just let them off the hook. Just say magic words and everything will be okay. You need to be saved, and the only thing you need to be saved from is your own insanity. And your own insanity is stored in your own carbon-based memory system. If you ask a modern-day physiologist, what the body, the so-called body is made of, they'll tell you that the base element, the base atomic structure device is carbon. And that's where the hostilities, the fears, the grief, the rages, the sadness, the pain, the horrible experiences of the generations and of one's own life are stored. And what he says is you've got to go into that and remove what never belonged. But most people, when they hear that, go into resistance. And resistance in Aramaic is the definition of Satan. Actually, it's a two-part definition. Satan in Aramaic is a lowercase word. It's not about a dude with a red suit, a tail, and a pitchfork, somebody that you can blame out there. You know, it goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And the blame game started. What did Eve say? It was the snake that made me do it. What did Adam say? It was that woman that you gave me, God. It's your fault. How long has this been going on? It's been going on from the very beginning. The blame game. There's nobody to blame. There's nothing to be saved from out there. Satan means in Aramaic the resistor, one who misleads. And so notice that if someone tells you you're responsible for what you're feeling and what you're experiencing, the tendency will be to go into resistance. And that resistance will look like, no, they did it. It's their fault. And there's your mislead. Your mind has a story for how it's all somebody else's fault. That's the Aramaic definition of Satan. Who wants to go there? This is too hard a saying to hear, most people say. Let me go and say magic words, and then let me pretend that everything's okay. Everything's not okay if you do that. There's work to be done. So we're here to create an understanding out of the first century Aramaic teaching of the man named Yeshua for how this process of forgiveness works and how we truly, truly step into human life on deeper and deeper and deeper levels. I don't know anybody who's done it fully. If you go to Yeshua, you know, there are people who, the ones who play the magic game, want him to be perfect, and they just totally ignore the scriptures where they say, they call him perfect, and he says, why do you call me perfect? None of us is perfect. Oh, no, we don't want to hear that. No. Our story says, our mythology, the story we want to hear that makes it easy is you're the perfect one, and you're going to fix it all for us. He says, and if you actually listen to the man, you'll do your work, and as you do your work, you will free yourself progressively from hate, from fear, from anger, from grief, from rage, sadness, terror, trauma, drama, all of the above will begin to disappear. And that's what we're here to hold the space for. And that's what we're here to teach and to learn. So we're delighted that you're here to share the space with us. Jeanie, do we have Dr. Tim with us today?
Well, he was not on just a moment ago. Let me scan down through these numbers. Nope, he's not with us yet.
Oh, okay.
And we don't have any hand up, so if somebody presses 1, you're first in line without waiting. And we're just kind of general, hello, how are you in the chat room? No questions out there.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's everybody. And
I had a hand just go up.
All right, let's go for it. Awesome.
All right. It's area code 910. You're on the air.
Hey, Jeanie. Hi, Michael. This is Susan Darnell in North Carolina, Wilmington.
Hey, Susan.
Welcome, young lady.
How are you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're rocking along. We're getting ready to do our final workshop here in Fort Walton Beach tonight. We'll be doing naturopathic keys to health at the Unity Center here, so if anybody's in this area. And then we'll be heading down towards Tampa St. Pete. We'll be making a stop off in Apalachicola. And then we just actually scheduled an additional workshop for Sunday afternoon. We're going to do, there's a new Unity in the woods in in Bradenton. So Sunday morning, there's actually a 10:30 and 11:30 service, so we're going to do those two services. And then we're going to do Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So we're blessed and rocking along. How about you?
Everything is really wonderful. It's great. I think I'm just on worksheet number 11, I think, for today. So things are moving right along. It's interesting.
All right.
Yesterday seems like I hit a new level of vitality, but there's a couple things. One thing I wanted to share with you, and a question that I have at the end that maybe you can talk more about, that, and then a situation that came up that was I'd like some input on. So where do I start? I'll start with somebody called me, a gentleman called me here in Wilmington who has come into some money and asked how he could support me in the work here in Wilmington, that he wanted to offer to help me in some way and for me to think about what that might look like. And he was going on a trip out of the country, and he said when he got back we would talk about it. So that's something I'd like to ponder with you sometime. I suggested the next day I called him back and suggested maybe that he have a scholarship fund for things like the Still Point breathing class that we're going to do the first Saturday of the month, and for the other Laws of Living class, to give scholarships to the people who are on disability or maybe need some extra help financially to take the course. So that was a thought I had. And then from there, I guess it's just wide open depending on what he wants to do. And he said maybe project by project. But he really...
Awesome. Congratulations.
It was great. It was I feel really supported by the universe and by Ruka. So that's one thing.
Well, you're obviously having an impact in your community, and that's the only way that sort of thing could come to you. So congratulations. Pat yourself on the back.
Well, I was thinking, the last few weeks at Unity when we're in MindShifters, we've had a lot of people. And I say a lot. We used to have 2 or 3, 4 or 5. We're having at least 10 plus. So it's really good. I mean, and people are emailing me that they're busy during the holidays and they'll be in after the first of the year. So hopefully that will grow too. But I noticed that having you and Jeanie here and being comfortable with people in my home, knowing that I'm safe and that everyone's going to take responsibility for the output of their mind, really let me know that what was possible to create. And I've done worksheets on grieving that is, I thought that was possible at Heartland. I think I wrote on Facebook. I didn't know I could have that here. And I expressed to the people in our group that my intention, my mission statement, my purpose, which I want to tweak, is to create a community of love within that MindShifter group where we take full responsibility for our minds and we have heaven on earth. And you could see the light beam on their faces as I said those words, and they came. And I would look. I'm thinking to myself, who's saying that? But it was truth. It was in the moment, and it just came through real clear. So that's something that's helped me to focus on exactly what I want to create. It's a community of love, and I want it to be in the MindShifter group and extend out into my community of friends and family. And so that's just evolving. And I think Ruka's very kind to support me. I'm very, very grateful to have that support, and I can feel, as they say, the wind beneath my wings, as you would say. So I'm grateful for that. And I notice I'm breathing. Got a little motion coming up there. One thing I had happened yesterday that I've done some worksheets on, or day before yesterday it was, a person came in my world from a different path, and this person shared with me their path. I shared with them the Aramaic forgiveness work, and there was an unwillingness to even look at the worksheet or to breathe, unwillingness to just a real resistance. And so I've done worksheets around looking at the resistance on that person and what it brought up for me. And there is what I'm looking for from you is some feedback on, of course, holding the space of love, but when to say, okay, and let go, because I find that I have great perseverance, and I have been called at times by certain people that love me that I'm relentless, that I want you to to hear me, and yet I know there's a time and a point where I have to respect someone's place where they're at. So that's one question I have, and another question is to do with the goal on the worksheet. On step 7, I would like some clarity.
Whoa, slow down. Let's just do one at a time so that we can.
Okay. I just want you to know there's one more.
Number one, the I think most important piece of feedback to receive from yourself is that you're relentless, and I support you being relentless. The only reason this work exists on planet Earth today, after 45 years, and you know, you've walked through some pretty thick energy and some pretty heavy things. And if you can imagine me talking about this 45 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and some of the insanity that I've gotten to deal with, both within myself and within the community of people I've been taking it to, relentless is the only reason it exists. If at any moment I'd have bought into the criticism, the condemnation, the rage of others, those who are faced with truth and their stress comes up and they want to take off the head of the one delivering truth, if there was at any point that I had given up, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I absolutely support you in being totally and completely relentless. Now, does that mean that you have to get in a particular person's face who said, I'm not interested? Oh, you're not interested? Okay. Then I go on and I do my work and I continue my conversation. If that person chooses to hang around me, then they're going to get to hear what I have to say about the work. I'm not going to point it at them. I'm not going to force it into their faces, but they're going to get to hear it because that's who I am. That's what I speak. That's what I do. And I don't give it up for anybody. I might soften it in circles where it's quote-unquote not acceptable, but I'm going to continue. And I'm going to keep moving it forward step by step by step until every mind, heart, and being on the planet gets who it is as a human life, as the active presence of love, and lives that way. And I'm going to keep delivering the tools for how to achieve that. Whether any given individual likes it or doesn't like it, wants it or doesn't want it, is pretty irrelevant to me. That would be my input on that one.
Thank you. Well,
Right. Thank you. I appreciate you. And the thing that I saw myself, and I was sitting on my couch just having this conversation with this person who had a different path, and I was actually willing to look and listen and look at their path and, do some of the things that they were doing around what they were into. And then I just noticed that something came up less than love for them. And as they got upset, and they got up and they were getting ready to leave, and I said, so I know what my path, the Aramaic forgiveness, what happens when I have conflict or upset come up, I'll go to a worksheet or a breathing or a mind shift or holding the space of love. But for you, in your path that you have, that you've been studying all these years, what do you do when this energy comes up in you and you're leaving? I mean, you're actually exiting this scene here that we've got going on. It was just amazing to me that there was no response, that there was anything to do. And yet there was an unwillingness to take the olive branch that I was offering or the opportunity to have a place to release that from their body. That was just, I'm sitting on the couch as they slammed the door just a little bit, and I'm going, wow. How does that work? How does that work? I don't understand. I did worksheets on that.
My input would be that's called life without tools. Remember the opening section in the book? I don't have a copy of the book in front of me, but remember the section in the book where we talk about life without tools is hell. When you resonate and you bring up someone's personal hell, look out.
Yeah.
Remember, I've talked about the John the Baptist thing, that you've got to know when to duck and when to hold the mirror up, or that person's going to want to take off your head. So that can be a place to just be silent, hold the space, and let them do what they need to do. Support them in doing whatever it is that's up for them and moving forward. But the unwillingness, and of course, why would somebody get up and run away and slam the door and all? It's because of projection, because denial, dissociation, and projection occurs. And when that occurs, if one doesn't have the tools, it's pretty tough to do anything else.
Right.
Pretty tough.
It's like hallucination is what I was saying. I was going, wow, I'm playing a part in a hallucination, and I'm going to sit still and allow it to unfold, and ask Ruka what's the best way to do. And I just really went and fixed my dinner and watched, I thought, wow, I'll just be with this. And I did worksheets today, more or less, a couple last night and a few this morning, and then other things too. But anyway, thank you for your feedback. And for me, that was, I don't know, I guess it was different than I'm used to having happen. It was a different response. And I held a space of love, and I was, to me, it was like offering someone a glass of water that was thirsty,
Yep.
And them looking at you like, I don't think I want that water. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Are you
so
crazy?
Anyway, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm breathing. It's just, I can't. And then I realized I did a really big piece of work yesterday on my family. I went home at Christmas and stayed with my son, and then my daughter came the day after Christmas. And listen to this, Michael. This is a miracle. She brought the gifts for me for Christmas the day after Christmas. She brought them to me. Remember last year she told me to send them back because I had requested that I have a Christmas. This year she brought me the gifts, gave me a scarf that was a leopard scarf, which she used to just really get upset with me if I wanted to buy anything leopard. But so she gave me this beautiful leopard scarf that you wrap around, it's the new kind. And anyway, it was, to me, what I got, the message was, you can be you and I'll love you the way you are here. Be you.
Well,
that was
of course,
beautiful.
The shift that's happened, I noticed the shift that has happened is, like, for instance, in the state where this person goes into their stuff and slams the door and such, what are you doing? You're standing there in self-approval, in self-embrace, being the space of love, instead of, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Notice the difference? And, of course, now that you hold that space of love for you, others can step into it. But remember that it didn't used to be that way, right?
Right, absolutely.
What did it used to be? If there's something happened, if somebody went crazy and was slamming the door, went out slamming the door, what would Susan have done back then?
I would have thought it was my fault, and I would have begged or pleaded or tried to figure out what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love this work. I
hear you. So do I.
I do. I love it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I sleep with my worksheets every night on my clipboard, just in case I wake up and need to do one.
It might be getting a little extreme, but hey,
Oh, I do. I'm telling you, they're in the car. If I leave the house and I don't have them, I'll have to do a worksheet on not having them when I get back. It's funny. I really do like having the opportunity to jot down and frame them before I get home to do them. So anyway, the last question that I have today, and I appreciate your time and allowing me to speak on the show, yes, is number 7. I'm working with a lot of people doing worksheets, and I have done a lot myself. It says, I choose to structure a truly loving goal based on number 3, toward you 1A, and I now offer to you. So sometimes I put down there the willingness to see it different, the willingness to be taught by Ruka, the willingness, if I'm not able to do something with them, the willingness to do it for them and for myself. And I'm just wanting clarity. Am I approaching that step with replacing that goal correctly?
I didn't quite keep up with the whole train of thought. Say it again.
Okay.
Where specifically is the action that you're asking about? I didn't quite keep up with it.
So we're canceling the goal on number 5, where we collapse
Right.
the projection. We're shabagging the goal. And then
Right.
after, when we get down to number 7, because there's a void, we know the universe is a vacuum. It'll suck something back in. So we're going to set a
Right.
goal connected to love. And
Right.
does it have to be a goal for, like it says, for you and I now offer you? So I know I'm going to get the goal I'm wanting for them too. So I'm giving them, usually, one of my favorite goals is the willingness to see it different, or the willingness to be taught by Ruka, or the willingness to see them as love. Just that's the goals I set, and I just want to make sure that that's a goal, that I don't have to set a goal for them.
You know, anything that creates a behavior for you is a goal. So if my goal is to see you differently, number one, I saw you as my attacker. If my goal is to see you differently, then I have set a very appropriate goal, and I'm telling my mind that I'm willing to see differently. And so my mind is going to tend to start to provide me with different information, different way of viewing what's going on in my world.
Okay.
So yes, you're right on track.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make, because I'm teaching this, in front of the class now, and there are a lot of different questions coming my way from people that are just new
Right.
to the work. And so
Sure.
I want to make sure that I get this number 7 down correctly. I know it has to be a goal, but the goal is for me, because in the worksheet process, a lot of times the goal is on somebody else, and it's for them. I have a goal for them, but I don't set another goal
Right.
for them. I set a goal for myself.
Correct. The idea here is that now I key in and I create a goal for me toward them, a goal based in love toward them.
Okay. That's what I thought. I'm just making sure. And I have, okay, that's clear. Thank you so much for that feedback, because I'm going to be teaching that worksheet again tonight at our MindShifter group. And I'm also, I may extend the group starting, the Laws of Living start until the following Monday, because some people are out of town and they want to get back in time
Right.
to
Sure.
join. So I may
Makes
do
sense.
that. I just want to put that out. But I'm going to redo my flowers and take them tonight. But I've got 3 people signed up so far. So
Very
anyway,
cool.
that's all from me. I'm good. I appreciate you.
All right.
And Jeanie.
All right.
Thank
have a
you
blessed
so much.
Day. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for the call and the input and the
You're
work
welcome.
you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you. Take care.
Okay. That's for New Year.
Awesome. And that resonated, an email or a text I had gotten from Angela earlier this week, and I just asked her, she's in the chat room, if I could share it, and she said yes. She had kind of the similar situation, Susan, as you had, like last year. They didn't want you to do gifts and send them back and all of that. Angela in the past had asked her mother for some pictures, like childhood pictures when she was little and things like that, and it was not even a thought. It was not given. She wouldn't even do that. And so this year she's been doing her worksheets and staying just like you, very consistent and doing her work and with the intent of healing her whole generational bloodline. And so she said that yesterday, she wrote this yesterday, so Sunday, I guess, was her birthday. And she says, so yesterday was my birthday, and today this arrived. And she sent me a picture, and it's actually a necklace, and it's a heart, and inside the heart is like a mother holding a baby. And she says, I got this today from my mother. The craziness in our house is healing us all was a great mind shifter for me, and now my work is healing us all. A few years ago, she wouldn't even let me have some baby pictures. And so then after getting this necklace, her mother emailed her some of the pictures. She also received some pictures from her uncle. And so she was just like, all of this is just coming about because she's doing her work. So she's healing her family too. And so that's pretty awesome that you're both doing that.
It is so awesome. It is so awesome. And the thing to get, the physicists tell us that every molecule in the universe is in continuous communication with every other molecule in the universe. So what this means is that, Susan, as you're healing these family dynamics, and as each person taps in, Angela, as you do this, you are literally opening an energy window for every person on the planet who has that issue to be freed of that issue. And that is just such an awesome gift to give the world. And each person who is willing to go to depth in doing their work is giving that gift to all the world. So I, from the very depths of my heart, appreciate what each and every person is doing in regard to cleaning up these dynamics within ourselves, within our family systems. It is absolutely an amazing gift to give. So thank you to each of you. And everybody who does their work, whether you communicate it with us or not, is irrelevant. It's the doing of the work that's the real key. And our accolades and appreciation go out to each of you. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful.
Speaking of powerful, we've had a small group here at Fort Walton, but the energy here is like it was at Panama City. Everybody's just so ready to do their work. And last night you just kind of mentioned, would anybody be interested in a support group starting here so you can continue doing this? And it was like hands went up all over the place that they were willing to step in and do the group or help support the group. And that was pretty exciting. So more and more people are stepping aboard.
Yeah, and last night, to me, one of the most interesting things was, both the minister and his wife are attending the workshops. I've been at each one of them. And the first person to put their hand up in the room was the minister, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool to watch. So it's, I think we're getting toward critical mass. I think we're actually moving in a direction where, because of this mass media, because we have the blessing of this radio show where we get to share these tools at every turn, and that the archives are available, I think it's a major contribution to moving things in the direction of critical mass. So it's quite a privilege to do what we're doing. And thank you to each person who assists us and supports us in doing that. Because we are going for every mind, heart, and being on the planet. That's what it's all about. So 646-200-4169 is our call-in number. If you're on one of those stations that we don't have in our phone queue, and you call that number, and you push 1, that will put a little hand up, and Jeanie will know that you want to talk to us. And she'll introduce you by your area code, and we'll get to say hello. So, if you have a question for us, a thought, we'd be delighted to speak with you. We'd be delighted to support you. That's what we're here for. That's what the whole idea of this radio show is about. Have we seen anything of Dr. Tim yet, sweetie?
No, he's not on yet, so I don't know. He's just had a client or something probably and couldn't get on.
Probably, yeah. Well,
I did have a question.
Well, in his world, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Last night there was someone that actually came up and talked to me during the intermission, and their question was a very good one, and I've heard it from several people, so perhaps it'd be something that we could discuss here. And that was when they get down after they've canceled the goal and they've asked Ruka to step in and help them to let go and not even feel those feelings and to get back to being who they're supposed to be. And then the next step is, how do I feel? And what do I see? And several people are like stumped at that. And what I was telling the lady last night that asked me about it was, there's no right or wrong answer there, that you could be from one extreme to the other, from, feeling like you're now in the pits because you see that it's a repeat pattern all your life, to being exuberant that now you see that you've got power to redo it or something. So can you add to that?
Well, my take would be that the person who goes, I don't know what to put there, I'm not feeling, is a person who probably has chosen in their lives to do a lot of unconsciousness. And so what they're accessing is some unconsciousness. And that's the space working through that unconsciousness. So there is no, as you said, there's no right answer for step number 6, A and B. It's whatever's true for you. Sometimes people will go to depth of the next layer of whatever their issue is. And so they'll drop right into a deeper level of pain or turmoil. And that's perfectly appropriate. That's right where it should be if that's what that person's ready to process. And some people may go into ecstatic states where they've dropped the energy of this particular, they've exposed the pain energy to love, it's dissolved, and all that's left for them at that moment to experience is that presence of love. So that's perfect. So the idea of 6A and B is simply to it's real for you after you engage in the process of forgiveness. And in so doing, you may open the space for the next worksheet, or you may open the space to just bask in light for some time until the next piece of work is there to be done. That would be my take on it. But it's certainly a valid question, because oftentimes underneath, the idea is to allow access to what's been hidden, and the access oftentimes is to unconsciousness, to something that's one has just been totally and completely oblivious of. And so getting in touch with it and dealing with it, it takes developing a set of skills. And as one does the worksheet process, they will develop new levels of skills based in the work as time unfolds. And each layer, each piece of work is just its own piece of work development of the skills that we're working to support people in developing.
Awesome, thanks. And we did have a hand just go up, and it's area code 417. So I think this might be Jim. Hi.
Well, hello there.
Hey there, good sir. Welcome. How do you be?
I'm doing great. And the thought occurred to me, triggered by, Michael, your comment about the pastor's hand being the first one to go up for support group.
Yes.
It's a known fact that to learn a language, the best way to learn a language is not just to attend a class and or read a book and learn the vocabulary. The very best way to learn a language is what's known as immersion, which is either to spend time in the country where the language is spoken, or attend a class where no English is spoken, only French or Spanish, or whatever the language is. And so what I'd like to suggest, and for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm here at Heartland. I come out here in June with a return flight 2 months later. Figure out 2 months, that's long enough time for me to get some significant healing done. And as a result of the healing that I did in those 2 months, most of it physical, I decided to take that flight back home and then load up my car and drive back up here. So what I'd like to suggest to those of you that are listening that haven't been to Heartland before is this is truly immersion in the work. You come out here for 9 days or 16 days, or you can come out here for a year or 2 years, depending upon what your life circumstances are. And I can't think of a greater gift that you can give to yourself and to your family and to your generations forward and generations backward than to immerse yourself in the work here at Heartland. It's like, well, I don't know how else to describe it. There aren't superlatives enough in my language to describe the experience. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share. And if it's not in the cards for you to come to Heartland in Missouri in July or August or early September, consider going to Orlando or wherever else. If you look on the website, you'll see Michael and Jeanie's schedule, and catch up with them wherever they are. You will absolutely change the direction of your life. And that's all I want to share. And this has not been an active portrayal, by the way, where you see on TV commercials. This is somebody who has experienced this work since 1989. Anyway, God bless you all. That's all I have.
Hey, good point, Jim. I've never thought of, an intensive in terms of language and immersion, but that's absolutely it, is to be there where it's actually happening. And the beauty of an intensive really is that when you see what's possible, you can engage in what's possible. You can hear about it. Yeah, and in a workshop we talk about, Charlie did this and this happened and that happened. But when you're actually there in the live energy of it, it definitely opens a whole different possibility. So good point. Good point. All right. Well, thank you, James. We hold you in a blessing. We appreciate you deeply, and things are a little bit crazy out here. Hopefully, by the time we get to Tampa and St. Petersburg, we're going to get some space to catch up with ourselves. We've been in communication with bunches of people, and there's just kind of more happening than we can keep up with being on the road, and adding one more workshop this Sunday. It's cool, it's awesome, and it's sometimes fun to keep up with. So we hold it all in a blessing, and we invite your support in just holding that space. And of course, pardon me, something that I rarely choose to talk about, but we'll put the thought out, especially how it's the end of the year, and some people need to give away some money sometimes. And if you'd like to support this work, Jeanie and I, when we travel, we pay our own expenses. The workshops are free. We don't do that because we're independently wealthy. We have no big corporate sponsor behind us. We're willing to have, but we don't have. And what we're doing is just taking the tools and moving them forward. And so if you'd like to be a part of the support of that process, you can go to our website. There's a donate button. You can click on it, and you can do a donation, or our address is there. You can send it. Or, there's several people now who've stepped in the last year or so, and they've done a recurring donation on our website. And every month they're supporting us in taking this forward to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. And so if you choose to be part of that, that would be awesome. And Jeanie tells us we've got a caller. Let's say hello to our caller.
It's area code 541. You're on the air.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jeanie. It's Julie from Ashland, Oregon.
Hi, lady.
Hi there, young lady. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for all you do year-round. Such a gift year-round to do this show for us. And I get so much value from every caller, every person. So anyway, I have a little novelty question, which isn't as important as what I'd rather say. But, I have ants in my home, and I'm wondering if I did a worksheet on them, what would that worksheet be? I guess I don't want to kill them. I want them to just go back to where they belong and leave me alone. So does that sound like a worksheet?
Well, Michael, tell her about the guy that did one on the mosquito.
Oh, yeah. We had a young man who came to actually an intensive back in, it was the year Julie first came to her first intensive, Julie Havers, 27 years ago. And he came to that intensive, and the room that he ended up in, there was a hole in the screen, and a mosquito got into the room, and he found himself halfway through the night raging as he's trying to catch this mosquito and kill it, and just raging and finally stopping and doing a worksheet. And what he got in touch with and what he got to deal with out of that was his realization that he was a second family for his parents. He had two older siblings. His parents never planned on any more children. We watched a movie the other night where they called that a whoops child. Oops. And what came up for him at the bottom line of his worksheet on this mosquito was that he was a bug to his parents.
Wow.
And so the worksheet wouldn't be about the mosquitoes. The worksheet would be about Julie. Mosquito might be the object of attention, but what do these mosquitoes bring up for you? What is there something there in the way of irritation or upset, as with this young man, or the ants? With this young man, rage, is there something under the surface that it would do you good to get a look at? And the other thing is, there's an interesting book, I believe the name of it is Oneness with All Life. Pretty cool book. And the guy in this book actually befriends a fly. And they talk about, have a conversation with the ants and ask them if they'll leave. Just have a conversation with them. But do that after you deal with whatever they're bringing up for you, would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I know what it is. You've really enlightened this for me. It's control. I want control of my environment so that I can indulge in my comforts, because this is occurring in my kitchen, and I want to cook, and I have black granite, and I can't see them, and I don't want to kill them, so I have two conflicting goals too, right?
Right.
I don't want to kill the ants, and I want to prepare my food. So, yeah, good. It is worksheet material. I knew it. Okay. And, it's anger and wanting to control. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take it one more step, and that is notice that your languaging is about what you don't want to do, and just take a look at how that looks like your life to think in terms of what you don't want. And then, of course, when you think in terms of what you don't want, you create what you don't want. So you might want to look at what would be a constructive goal to have in that situation. And as you access it, that may impact other areas of your life.
Wow, thank you for catching that. I have been coming from don't want a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And resistance.
Good one.
Yeah, thank you. Well, now I want to say I have often wondered about the idea of the generations and the past, present, and future generations, that any work that I do is going to ripple out and be a positive, energy out there for it. Everyone. And I just sort of trust that, almost like faith, like scripture kind of thing. And the other day I was talking, and this is starting to happen more in my life, I was talking to some young people in the age range of the mid-20s to mid-30s. And they're really, really seeing that the world needs some help, and the burden's on them, and they're not sure how they're going to navigate the whole thing. And I was recognizing that they are the future generation, okay? And so I was trying to, I was sharing with them this forgiveness process, and they're really, really open to doing things from the heart and from love, the wisdom that was coming from them. And I walked away from the conversation realizing that possibly it's not really them that I need to teach this work to. It's me that needs to do it to clear the way for them to just simply come into place as the new generation. So I was absolutely looking at my future generations right there, face to face.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wondered if anyone else is having that experience.
And if the language of the burden being on them is their language, then you might offer to them a shift in energy and a shift in language into recognizing that the opportunity is on them. If it's your language, then it might be a worksheet or two to do around the idea of burden.
Yeah, I think that would be mine, and then next time I'll offer a different language when I'm interacting with them.
Yeah.
Wow, language.
It is
boy.
clearly an opportunity. It's huge. Awesome opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We're delighted. Glad to be on the team.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember Dr. Tim saying he had to be away one day this week or something. By the way. So.
Probably what's happening.
Oh, that reminds me of one more idea that I have had since Dale Allen Hoffman may not make it with us every Friday this year, although I heard your invitation to him for January.
Right.
I was thinking it might be nice to replay the Aramaic Fridays from last year, from the 2014, just to, deepen it, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we probably won't do that because our commitment is to do a live show, but actually you do give me an idea, and that is that maybe what we'll do is we'll look at, we do have an opportunity to do I don't know how that will work. We need support for that. There's a possibility. Here's what we need. I'll put it out to the community. If you feel like it might be something you'd be willing to support, is that we could replay important shows on Saturday and Sunday at the same time. We have the possibility of doing that. Because we are locked into Saturday and Sunday, usually doing, MindShifters and Still Point Breathing workshops or Sunday services and workshops, we can't engage. That's why we don't do a live workshop Saturday and Sunday. But if we had somebody who would open the show, it wouldn't mean you need to speak or anything, but just do the mechanics of opening the control panel and starting the show, we could set up and do a replay of, maybe we could make Saturdays a playing of the Aramaic Fridays from the last year, and Sundays we could play, important shows that have happened from the past. So I'll put that out to the community. If there's somebody who says, I would be committed, and that means I'd have to be responsible. We can't have this happen in a way that somebody says, oh, I'll do it, and then next week they decide, well, I'm busy, and people come to the show because that, it's got to be reliable. But if somebody would like to step up to the plate and take that on as a project, that would be a possibility. You need support.
That's an interesting, yeah. Sounds interesting, like all kinds of good creation. Yay.
Yeah. So is that your job?
No, not yet. Can't commit.
Okay. Okay.
Feels like something I'd like to commit to, though. Feels like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then you might want to do some worksheets around that whole idea of commitment. As I remember correctly, that's been one of your issues. And you might want to look at how commitment looks in your life and just what it means for you and why there's a resistance to commitment. Might be worth looking at.
Oh, Michael, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You know that I'm here only to be truly helpful.
Yes. I need only think of you, and I have a worksheet in my face immediately.
All right, awesome. Well, we're down to the last minute or so we'll say thank you to everyone who chooses to join us for every day that you choose to join us. And we'll look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. We'll be, of course, same time, same station. Tonight we are in Fort Walton Beach, our last workshop at Unity here, and then Sunday we'll be at Unity in the Woods in Bradenton too. Come and join us. We're off for about a week, and we do a week of workshops at Unity North in Tampa, a week in St. Petersburg, and then we'll be down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano. Jeannie's doing the one-day Healing the Whole Woman retreat for Unity of Pompano in Delray Beach at the Duncan Center. So lots happening, teachers training. Take a look at the schedule. Everything's on our website. We appreciate you joining us and being with us. We hold the space, and we appreciate you holding the space with us. Create the best year yet of your eternal life. Bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters.